Okay, so I told you we were going to make a pamphlet stitch journal, and I told you we were going to make it for the Inchy challenge. All right, so you can use, this is just a pamphlet stitch, you can use it for anything, but I did want to make one for the Inchy challenge that Mindful Art Studio is doing right now, in case any of you were doing it. So the sizes for this are going to be for the Inchies, and I grabbed paper I liked, and it was single-sided, so I decided to make pockets because I tend to make more than just one or two renditions of the challenge each day. So I'm going to give you the stitch, and then we're going to make this journal, okay? But know that you don't have to make it this size. You don't have to make it pockets. You can make it however you want. All right, that's today's. I have not done it yet. Okay, so and I just had some scrap suede, so that's what I used. But you don't have to do this. You can use anything for your cover. I think for this one, I'm probably going to just go ahead and use a heavier, I don't know, construction paper, cardstock, something. I haven't even decided yet. So yeah, that's how organized I am. So when you see the supply list that I posted the first, it doesn't have anything about a cover. It doesn't have a picture of a cover except for this cover. So, all right. So this one is to make a 4x4 journal. Let me open it back up because I wanted room to put my 2x2 Inchy, which I always called Twinchies, but she calls Inchies. And then my label for my date and my prompt. And then I used library cards to be my insides. But you can use, again, anything. And if you want to have pockets, you don't have to have pockets. If you don't want pockets, all you have to do is start with a two-sided paper. I totally missed that pocket. So if you start with a two-sided paper, you don't have to have pockets. Or you can just glue them completely together instead of leaving pockets, and you don't have to have pockets. But I grabbed one-sided paper, and then once I realized I was going to have to glue them, I thought, why not have pockets? I do love pockets. This style journal also is great for travel journals because you can put like your postcards, receipts, any kind of little paper, souvenirs, tickets, whatever in the pockets, and then, you know, do a page on the journal. Of course, I'd probably do them larger, but okay. So this is to make a 4x4 pamphlet stitch journal. I'm going to show you the stitch at the first so that all you want is this stitch and you don't actually want to make this journal. You're good to go. All right. So what do you need? Well, you need papers for your signature. These are 4x8 because you fold them to become your 4x4. Okay. And I've got enough to have 12 two-sided pages. So you get 24 actual pages because I did each flap was a day. All right. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need some tape or glue. You're going to need some needles. These are my favorite needles for bookbinding, and they are heavy fabric, leather, something like that. I forget. But anyway, they even have the hook ones, so if you're doing something really tough, you can use the hook ones and you don't have to work so hard. So these are my favorite for bookbinding if you're not going to actually go buy a bookbinding needle. But I think I've told y'all before, I'm going to go in and pull that one out because that's the one we're going to use. I don't have an art store anywhere near, so I have to a lot of times improvise. The paper that I'm using today also came from Walmart. Okay, so you're also going to need a pen or pencil. This is just to mark where you're going to put your holes. Speaking of holes, you need something to punch your holes. So I have an awl. You can use an awl. You can use, you know, anything's got a sharp end. You can use a very small hole punch if you need to, or a Japanese bookbinding hole punch, which I have but didn't bring in here. Because I actually do like an awl, because depending on how far you push your tip is how big your needle your hole is. So I do like that. Of course, this is actually for my inchies, but I've got my labels, my blanks, and my pens. And this is all I'm throwing in my bag to do the inchie challenge. You're going to need some kind of thread for your stitching. And this, I got at Walmart. It is just a bunch of embroidery thread. I just use the entire thing rather than breaking down the strands as if like you would if you were actually using it to embroidery. You need, of course, something for your tags if you're making it a tag. I used the library cards, all right, and I just cut them down to length. You could use actual tags. You can use Project Life cards if you have them. You can use the 4x4 piece of scrap you're going to have from your cutting your paper down. If you cut your 12x12 paper for a 4x8, you can get one 8x8, which is going to be your folded, two 4x8s, which you can then glue to make your page, and an extra 4x4 corner piece. So you could cut this to your tag. Of course, I'm using one-sided paper, so it'll either be blank on the back or I can put two together. I don't have as many of these because I got one per sheet, but I did have 6 of these, so they are an option. You're going to need something to poke through. All right, nothing fancy, just something you don't mind poking holes through. I literally had a box that was going in the trash. I just pulled one side off of it so that I could double it. So I've got a little bit of thickness and give. So when you use your awl, if it's flat on the table, it's got nowhere. Am I in the camera? Yeah, if it's flat on the table, it's got nowhere to actually punch through. So you want something to punch through. So you'd put your signature or your cover here, then your awl, then you'd punch through, and it would be able to go through way, way easier. All right, so I think, other than something to be our cover, which we will figure out as we go, I think that is everything. So let me show you the stitch. All right, so this is just a piece of scrap paper. And we're going to pretend it is a signature, okay? Because I want you to be able to actually see. So you would, first of all, take your awl. You want to come down, and I don't measure, okay? But if you're doing a separate cover, let's pretend we got a separate cover. All right, so this is our signature, this is our cover, okay? So you've got your cover open, you put your signature in, okay? Hang on, let me get rid of that for a second. Take your pen, and you want to mark where you want your holes so that they are the same in both of these. So what you do is come down about 1 inch, and you'd mark here and here. Okay, and you come up about 1 inch, and I'm not measuring, it's literally an about. Mark there and there, and then come about your center. Now, if you are one of those people that is all about measuring, feel free. Basically what you want is you don't want it so close to the top that it pulls through, so close to the bottom that it pulls through, and you want one in the middle just to stabilize your pages, okay? So when you pull it out, you've got marks here, but you've also got marks here, so that you know where you're putting your holes, okay? So then I would take my punchy thing. I would open up my signature this way because that's where my marks are, and I would punch a hole, punch a hole, punch a hole. Now I didn't actually punch where my mark was. I punched on my fold, okay? And then I would take whatever my cover is going to be, and I would, same thing, punch a hole, punch a hole, punch a hole. All right, and you heard why it's so important that you have something you can actually go through. All right, and cardboard's great for this. If you have old books that you've used the cover but the pages aren't any good, you can use that. You can use anything you have. This is not a run out and buy something. This is jig through your trash. All right, okay. So then you're going to get your thread. All right, and then when you pull your thread, you want You got 3 holes, so you want 3 times your length. And I am always a little generous with this. I always have extra. I always cut too much, but too much is better than not enough. Thread your needle. This is my cover. These are my pages, all right? So I'm gonna put my signature into my cover. Here's another time you gotta make a decision. If you want, let me open this up. It's gonna tie somewhere. You can have the tie out here and visible when the book's closed. Or if you want this clean line, then you have the tie in here, right there. And of course it's not noticeable, all right? So how you do this, completely up to you. But where you start determines where that is. So if you want the knot on the inside, then you go inside out. If you want the knot on the outside, go outside in, okay? So I like my knot in the inside, inside out. Also, if you're wanting your knot on the outside, but you want to leave tails to like put beads or decorate, you can start at the top. I like to start in the middle. I think it makes just a better bind, but you can start at the top. There's no reason you have to start at the middle. That is totally preference, okay? So, starting at the middle, pull through, leave yourself a little bit of a tail, okay? Then I go up to the, whoop, I'm coming out of the thing. Go up to the top, gonna go through cover and signature at the top. Then cover and signature at the bottom, like so. All right, so, oops, I'm getting caught up in my other tools. So what you should have at this point is, in the inside of your book, your tail and one string that goes both ends, okay? That's your inside. Turning it over, you've got one stitch and you're fixing to make the second. At this point, you just want to pull everything the direction it's already going to make sure it's tight. Turn it over and go back through that center hole. That finishes your second stitch, but you want to go on the opposite side of this string than your tail went. Okay, and I've done a lot of these, so I kind of did that intuitively because I hold all of this here. You probably saw me doing it. I hold all this so that when I come through, it comes through on the other side. Because at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to tie this and then cut it off. Now, I'm not going to tie it because I'm actually going to take all this out because I'm going to use this same thread on the one we actually make. But you end up with these 2 stitches on the outside, this one long stitch with a knot on the inside. These are your pages. These are your cover. It is super simple. If you want one signature, you're done. If you want 3 signatures, you just put one here, and you allow for that extra in your center, okay? So, that's it. That is a pamphlet stitch. I'm going to do another video showing how you cross it for the X, but I'll probably do it next week because it's Sunday and I post these on Monday. Because, you know, all week I'm at the day job. It'll probably be next week, but it's the same basic stitch, okay? So you can take this stitch and you can make a journal with a dozen signatures or one signature. And a signature is this group of pages inside, if I didn't tell you that. Let's get to work. All right, so what I have done is I have alternated these between the pages that I have to glue the whole thing and the ones that have a fold at the bottom. The reason I've done that is I just think it's probably just my OCD, to be real honest. But you can make these all one-sided pages if you don't want pockets. If you want to use more paper, you can make them all folded pages, and you don't have to do any of these piecemeal pages. I just like to be very efficient in my paper use, so I used both. And I used 6 pieces of 12 by 12 paper, and it made both of these, doing it this way, okay? So this is 4x4. I'm not going to worry about gluing anything until after it's stitched, because your stitch is going to hold your center, and then all you have to do is come through and close up the ends on the folded paper and the bottom and the ends on the open paper. At this point, you're going to just fold this in half. Now, you can use a bone folder for this, and I often just use my scissors, just fold it in half, get a good crease. Now, I will tell you, especially because this is such a thick signature, because that's a pretty thick single signature, your pages don't end up perfect here. If that bothers you, stick them in a guillotine punch and them off. Or take a metal ruler, X-Acto knife, and just keep sawing until they're even, okay? It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me because as I use it, they're gonna get they're gonna get worn down anyway. So, and so there's my inside. Now I need a cover, and I have not planned a cover. So give me just a second, y'all. Okay, this is just a heavier piece of paper that I've gel printed on, and it is literally a scrap. And it's just shy of 8.5, so probably about 8.5 or 9. Again, just try it out. I'm fixing to do this and bone fold it. All right, so this one, you notice I'm not making a fold around. I'm not making a fold around. I generally make this fold around when I'm using material such as, this is suede. I've done it with cotton, with canvas, tapestry pieces, anything like that, because it's floppy. It's floppy, you know? So I like having this closure, like, you know, because now it's not floppy. The pages give it some strength. But this is not floppy, so I'm not worried about it. This one, on the supplies, it said 4 1/4 by 10. The 10 was for this wraparound. Okay, so if on those measurements, if you're saying, why does it say, I think I said 4 1/4 by 9 or 4 1/4 by 10. The 10 was for this wraparound. And this one's actually more than 4 1/4. I don't mind that. I kind of like it actually, because I can leave my tags sticking up a little bit more if I wanted to. All right, so I have eyeballed center. I eyeball everything. And if you've got a little bit extra on your pages like I do, am I in the frame? I am. Oh, and I like how this dark blue and red show up on the thing. All right, so I've got a little extra here and here. So I'm going to slide this down. This is personal preference, because now I've got a little extra up here to leave my tags maybe a little bit longer. In fact, I'm going to do them down just a little bit more. All right. So when I do my marks, though, I want to make sure I'm here and here, not here and here. So I'm taking my inch from my signature, not from my cover, because my signature is smaller. Because again, I don't want so close that it will pull through. This has got plenty of leeway. It's not going to pull through. So I need to make sure this one does. All right, so I'm going to come down, turn this where hopefully you can see a little better. Come down about an inch or so. About an inch or so. All right, come up about an inch or so, and you can measure this if you so choose. And then come about center. And again, you can measure this. I just don't measure. Now, remember, this is going to be an inch, and center to this, not here. Okay? So, in this one, you might actually want to put your tail on the outside and just put a hole up here, so that you've got, out here, you've got 4. This wouldn't actually hold or bind to anything, because you wouldn't want to put it through here. It will pull out because it's so close. But you could make your tail end up here and on the outside and have a cute little tassel. I'm not going to do that today because I don't want to. And I really don't like the tassels. I really like everything hidden. But if this stitch being in the middle here, not in the middle here, not the middle here, is going to drive you insane, by all means adjust it on how it looks on the outside. It doesn't matter if that extra stitch holds anything or not, if it's your preference. This is always your journal. You make it look the way you want. It won't bother me because I know why it's that way, but if I was looking at a store, someone else had made it, it would probably bother me. So, craziness, I know. So, our punchy through, our paper, and our awl. Let's poke some holes. So, poke, poke, poke. That's the easy one. All right, now then my signatures. Open it up, keeping them all where they're supposed to be. Now, poke. 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 Okay, so dink, 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 dink. Now, the only thing I'm going to tell you is, because I have left this gap here, make sure on your folded page, if you're doing the pockets, that your fold is down here. When you move these around, sometimes you will flip your top and your bottom. Be careful of that. I've done it, okay? So now open to my center. Open to my center. All right, line these holes up, and now it is going to be just exactly like it was when we were doing it on the little one. Go from your center. If you want this, because I want the tail on the inside. If you want your tail on the outside, put it in the outside. Center to center. Okay. Leaving a little tail. Center to center, leaving a little tail. Top to top. Precious, please get down. My cat just jumped up here. The cats don't understand when I'm videoing. They think I'm talking to them. Bottom to bottom. There's her head. Okay, hang on, y'all. Pull it tight. You gonna just lay there? Okay, lay there, be good. And then hopefully y'all can see for Precious. Okay, so you can see I've kind of just pulled it that way. Push this through, all right? Pull it all tight. It's going on the other side. And pull it again. Now I'm gonna pull, make sure everybody's good and tight, because this time I am going to tie it. And you want to do a square knot. So, left over right, right over left. And I generally do two. The first one's gonna, thank you, Precious. They can't see anything but your body. I generally do two knots because, and if you didn't see the first one, for Precious being in the way, there is one there already. Do the second one right here. Left over right, right over left. All right, now that's a good knot. It's not going anywhere, so you can clip it super short. Now, if you used one-sided paper and don't want pockets, guess what? You're done. That's it. You got your signature there. You got your stitches. I like the blue on the blue. I didn't really think that through, but it's kind of hard for y'all to see it. Hopefully you can. But yeah, if you use single paper, you're done, okay? If you didn't use single paper and you want to make the pockets, grab your glue. I do like glue tape for this. Liquid glue is really messy, but I like these just because they're quick and they're small. I have the giant tape runner. It's just too big to get in here. I do sometimes use this red tape, but when you do the two, it gets a little handsy. Alright, so this one's a fold. So literally all you have to do is pull this down, run right there, and then on the ones, you are going to run it there and there. All right, so you just repeat that for all your pages. I'm not going to make you watch that. Now, for the tags, I do like to have a notch. You'll see in this one. To pull your tag, I like to have a little notch punched out so that you can actually pinch that tag to pull it out. Now this one, I've got it tall enough the tag can stick up if I want it to, so I don't really need it. So depending on your cover, if you've made your cover fit, just take a circle hole punch and just take a little bite. Mine has notches, and I don't know that you can see these. Mine has notches. There's one here, 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 one here. And I don't know if you can see those, but it has little notches in it. I use those as my measurers so that I know I'm getting a straight punch and I'm doing it every time. So generally I use the front and the lowest one to get this teeny tiny little thing. And it is a little hard to get into it sometimes. So again, I don't measure, I don't mark, I don't worry. So I kind of do one to here, one to here, one to here. And then I just alternate it, just rotate it. On this one, I don't think I'm going to do that because I don't need to. So if you use your journal card, your library cards, just try them out for fit and height. So he's still too high. See, he's still too high. He's going to stick up a lot. But that's perfect because cutting him down to size, I cut off the bottom down here on one of these lines. And that's where I got these strips for the date and the prompt, if you're wondering, from cutting these down to size. So I would take him and I would cut him probably, let's try just taking off the bottom full line and try him out there. And that's taken off one full line. My hand is totally in the way. Oh, and I missed. How do I keep missing? There we go. Oh, I like that. He sticks up, but he's not sticking up huge. All right. Now, here is the other thing you need to remember. If you did the exact same thing on the next one, if you cut just the bottom one off, okay? Oops, shot him across the room. And then you go to the next page, which we glued top and bottom. It's not going to fit the same. I'm going to prove this to you by showing you that it's not going to fit the same because this one has a fold. This one has the fold, so the card goes all the way down. This one can only go to the glue line, okay? So decide if you like that, because what you'll have is both cards visible. I actually think I kind of like that, so that every two will show, and then when you come to the next one, it'll do the same thing. The two will show. That's preference. That is all that is, okay? And it sticks out a little bit on the top of my thing, but not bad. Not bad. All right. So there is your 4x4 little journal. Decorate it however you want. Pamphlet stitch, super easy, super quick. And again, if you want to do more than one signature, you just keep adding them. Just figure out how many signatures you want, and the dry fit is always the best way, in my opinion, to do that. Just like I did this around the one, if you want to do 5 signatures, do a dry fit around 5 signatures. Let's pretend I was going to put more signatures in here, okay? Instead of this wrapping around, say I was going to put more. Well, then I would just stack them all in here and figure out that's how much room I need before you cut your cover. Or stack them up, measure them if you're a measurer, okay? So there you go. That is how to do a pamphlet stitch. Super easy. Bye, y'all.